Friends, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me, and we're starting. We have to go now. I'll go when I'm ready. Damn it, James, she snapped at me. Stop bothering me. But we have to meet Sir Henry, Juliet, I begged her. My job could be in jeopardy. Then get yourself a proper job, Juliet teased me and turned to the two assholes she was flirting with, ignoring me. Actually humiliating me, to be honest. What a weakling your husband is, I heard one of them, a big dark-skinned guy, laugh, and I gritted my teeth, telling myself that I hope this situation doesn't last long. I couldn't help but grimace when I heard Juliet's high-pitched laughter join in. Of course, this idiot was wrong, very wrong. But now is not the time to risk explaining their mistake to them. If you value this job so much, James will go, she finally relented, causing me to sigh softly, although, as it turned out, it wasn't for long. Bring the car. Fuming, I headed to the parking lot, and a few minutes later pulled up to the club where we had been staying for the last few hours. Cursing under my breath, I saw that these two thugs had followed her and were now standing there with her, laughing and joking, probably at my expense. They let their hands wander where they shouldn't be. She didn't seem to mind, and I began to wonder why I was so worried. I think it's because of public opinion. There could be quite a few people around who might recognize one of us, and I couldn't help but hope and pray that this would not happen. I don't think this is a good idea, Juliet, I protested as she got into the car, followed by a big, dark-skinned guy, while another, stocky, sturdy-looking one darted to the other side of the car and also got in. In fact, they pinned Juliet between them. It was a company car, and it was quite large, but considering the size of the two strangers she'd picked up, all three of them were pressed too close together. James, go home and don't drive the horses, the stocky guy grinned, falsely and mockingly imitating the manner of high society, and all three burst out laughing. They laughed as I pulled the big car out of the parking lot and pulled into London traffic, gnashing my teeth in anger. The bullying they subjected me to upset me mainly because I was unable to do anything about it. I angrily pushed away the silky bra that suddenly appeared on my shoulder, and it slid across the rearview mirror to the floor. By the time I put the car in the garage and went inside, the bitch had already outdone herself. She's been deliberately humiliating me for the last few weeks. I think it was just because I could do it, and I kept telling myself that I needed to control my emotions, knowing how close I was to breaking down. Knowing that if I succumbed to Juliet's taunts, I could lose this job. Yes, I worked for Sir Henry, and Juliet and he were family, of course. How the hell do you think I got this job? Jobs like this, with the fancy car I drove, were as rare as chicken teeth, especially for a guy like me who recently returned from military service. Just close your eyes, I kept telling myself. It wasn't easy to do this, as the two freaks slowly undressed Juliet until she was wearing only high-heeled shoes. Her gorgeous slender body was somehow curved like a woman beyond measure, which made the two of them pause for a while. They reveled in her beauty. Sit down and look calm, James, she sneered. Or go away and let real men please me. Strictly speaking, it was her house, of course, since her husband, its owner, was paying me. So I just turned around and left, not wanting to watch this bitch so brazenly violate her marriage vows. We're using you much better than your pathetic husband, I heard one of them say loudly. They wanted me to hear them. I hope it won't take long. Juliet cruelly twisted the knife in the wound as I closed the door behind me and, clenching my fists in rage, headed for the office located down the hall. Good evening, James. Sir Henry Blackmore greeted me with a smile as I entered the luxurious, book-lined study. An office in which many world leaders have rested and discussed state affairs over the past few hundred years. Good evening, sir, I replied to his greeting with due respect. Everything went more or less as you expected. My wife still thinks I work at the Parliament building, doesn't she? Sir Henry was always careful. Mrs. Blackmore expects you to be there until late this evening, sir, I confirmed. I've convinced your wife that you'll be waiting there until I deliver her to you. As befits a good James driver, he laughed. That's right, sir, I smiled back. It's a good thing Mrs. Juliet doesn't know that you were my commanding officer on that last mission in the desert. And it's a good thing those two who were there with her don't know what you did in the army, Sergeant, he added, smiling knowingly to himself. Are you sure you can handle them, or do you need support? No problem, sir, I assured him confidently, knowing that despite his age, my boss would still be able to deal with bastards like these two. I think that these three are already ready for an unpleasant surprise. Come on, James, come on, he laughed, motioning for me to return to the place where I had recently been sent packing, and he followed me. These two guys thought they were cool, but they got the surprise of their lives when they discovered how quickly they were kicked out the door. The back door, of course, or the service entrance, as it would have been called in the days of Sir Henry's father. Anyway, this door has fulfilled its purpose. It was better this way, because there were no curious onlookers behind her who could observe an unusual picture and wonder why these two jerks were fumbling around the back alley trying to collect their clothes. Bruises under their eyes, torn lips, and aching limbs certainly didn't help them. The main thing was that they no longer presented any cause for concern. Well, they had completed their task. I left Sir Henry to deal with his prodigal wife, even though I still heard the screams and cries of denial that came from this woman. The denials that came out, despite the fact that she was shown the evidence that was recorded by the video camera that I activated earlier. Of course, the showdown dragged on, but with the video evidence and my testimony, Juliet finally calmed down and agreed to a little more than the very generous offer that was originally made to her. She probably got enough to provide herself with modest comfort for a few months until a job was found for her, most likely in one of the clubs, in one of which Sir Henry found her. You may ask, what about me? I was happy to continue working as Sir Henry's chauffeur and bodyguard, traveling the world with him and staying in the most exotic and only occasionally dangerous places. I kept him in line when he felt the need to visit questionable nightclubs. After all, he was a really sincere and honest guy. But like the rest of us, he had his weaknesses. Juliet? The stupid cow missed her best chance at a life of luxury. She returned to work at a nightclub and made the most of her undeniable advantages. When dancing didn't make money fast enough, she dropped lower on the social scale. In any case, it wasn't cheap. How do I know that? Well, use your imagination. Juliet was very surprised when she saw me as a client and even made me an offer of 2 for the price of 1. I'm not sure she would have done that if she'd known how Sir Henry laughed when he reimbursed me for her expenses. After all, I won the bet we made earlier. Life is wonderful and may it last a long time.